Hello everyone, Luke here, and today I'm going to be sharing my top 10 Zelda games because, this is Zelda channel, so I should probably have a top 10 Zelda games video. So basically, yeah, just, probably stick around to the end because there's a little surprise. I mean, it's not something to get too excited about, but just stick around to the end of the list. So, thank you very much. And I always like debate about this sort of stuff. So just comment on whatever you think is the best Zelda game or worst or whatever. So let's start it off. So with number 10, Zelda 2. This game, it just didn't really capture me, and I'm gonna be saying that a lot for some of these games. But the reason I put it at number 10 is because the platforming and the side scrolling was kind of cool, but it just was not great. It was really difficult. I mean, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying that it was. If a Zelda game is going to be difficult, it should be difficult because of the puzzles, not because of insane platforming in the dark, But also, I don't have very much nostalgia because obviously I wasn't, just a child when it came out. I hadn't been born yet. So, yeah, this is just not my favorite. So, next would be the Oracle games, and I'm just gonna pair these together because they're basically the same story. Now, the first thing that really was not fun to me about these games was the fact that they're basically about defeating an assistant to to Ganondorf, and that would be, of course, like Onox. If you're playing the one that has Onox, I forget which one, but if you're playing the one with Onox in it, then Onox is an assistant to Twinrova, who is an assistant to Ganondorf. So basically, you're defeating an assistant to Ganondorf, which feels kind of lame. But basically, the good thing about these games were that they had some of the most elaborate and difficult puzzles. And that was really amazing because later in the Zelda games, puzzles aren't too difficult. So this was kind of a breath of fresh air. And again, I didn't grow up with these two games, so I can't say I have very many fond memories. Now at number 8, I have Zelda 1, and a lot of people are going to be really surprised, most likely, that I put this so low on the list. And that's okay. It's just, I mean, I didn't grow up with this, so yeah. But more importantly, I feel like other Zelda games brought a lot more to the table, which is understandable because Zelda 1 was the first Zelda, so it can't, it started everything. And I have a lot of respect for Zelda 1 because of that. But still, I just feel like a lot of Zelda games are just better games in general. So, I mean, I'm ranking these top 10 not on how much respect I give it, but how good the game actually is. And I'm sure back in 86, this was one of the greatest games ever released. It's just that, personal preference and games getting older and better, things just change. So, at number 7, I have Link's Awakening. This is still kind of low on the list for such a great game, and I really loved it. So, I'm not going to spoil how the ending is, just in case people haven't played it. But there's just a lot of charm, like with the manga pictures of Link you can find, and the Mario Yoshi cameos, and the whole island adventure stuff. It's just really fun, and I love it a lot. It's just that all the next ones on the list, all the 6 remaining games on this list, I just love a little bit more. So, that's number 7. So number 6 is Skyward Sword, and I don't know, a lot of people might be mad for putting such a hated game in front of Link's Awakening and Zelda 1. But, just chill down. Skyward Sword was the game that I actually grew up with. It was the first Zelda game I ever played. And I've played it so many times, and I really, really, really like it. I actually enjoyed the linearity that for which it's hated so much. But, I don't know why. It's just, it holds a place in my heart because it was the first Zelda game that I ever played, and, I just think that's something you should hold on to. But still, it's not even in the top 5, so, you can't get too mad at me. Number 5 is Wind Waker, and yeah, I put Wind Waker not at number 2 and not at number 3. I put it at number 5, okay? Just understand. But, also, Link to the Past isn't going to be on this list, so I probably just outraged the very few amount of people who will be viewing this video, but, yeah, I just didn't like Link to the Past very much. But anyway, back to Wind Waker. I really liked how open world it was. I liked finding random islands in the wilderness. And, just discovering them and, stuff like that. It was really fun. The story was good, and it just had so much charm. I mean, from all the sound effects to Toon Link, and I really feel like all the other Toon games that came out afterwards for the DS didn't capture the same charm that Wind Waker did, especially like in the totally fleshed out HD version. So yeah. For number 4, this one's really going to offend a lot of people, and that's Link Between Worlds. Link Between Worlds, I feel like is just Link to the Past, but the better version, because what with graphics, I think it has a better story, and I've played through all the dungeons of Link to the Past, and I just feel like Link Between Worlds dungeons are better. I mean, they're similar, and of course, the world layout is pretty much the same. I just feel like the missions and, the dungeons were just better, more enjoyable, and, yeah. I played through this game twice. That's how much I enjoyed it. And, it's basically a remake of Link to the Past, with a few extra little things. But, that's okay. So, basically, this was another game that I grew up with. Link Between Worlds. It was the second Zelda game I played, and, it just has, near and dearest place. I don't know how to speak. Place to my heart. I said place. But anyway, so we're gonna go with number 3, and this one is gonna, have a few people question my mind, because normally Twilight Princess is not at number 3, but in this case it is, because I really like Twilight Princess. It didn't have, really any charm, but I thought the Twilight was really interesting. It opened up a whole bunch of theory ideas that, in the future I'm going to explain and touch on. And, it was just really fun. The world was great, and sure, it felt like a weird, dark copy of Ocarina of Time. Yeah, sure, but it was a really good dark copy of Ocarina of Time. And speaking about the dark part of it, the whole vibe of Twilight Princess was like really dark and like, there's like screaming and Link likes to yell a lot. I wasn't a huge fan of all of that stuff, but it's okay. It was still a really fun game. But the best part of the game, Twilight Princess, for me was the dungeons, because there were some of the funnest dungeons, best designed, dungeons I've seen after playing lots of Zelda games. Just my favorite one probably is the Temple of Time, because basically it's literally about running an errand. Like, you go out, you have to get through a bunch of stuff, you get something, which is the statue, then you come all the way back down, and you put it in, and then you fight the boss. That was literally what the entire dungeon was. It was going up, get something, then come all the way back down. The puzzles were just like, they weren't too difficult. Nothing was too difficult, but it was still really fun. So, dungeons like that, and especially the Cave of Ordeals in Twilight Princess, was really fun as well. So yeah, it was just a great game. I sound really preppy right now. Okay, whatever. So next might surprise a lot of people. I'm not really sure what people think of this game, but at number 2, it just seems that like Game Radar, whatever it's called, and Game Informer really thinks that Breath of the Wild should be at number 2 or one of the best. So I just really enjoyed Breath of the Wild. Like, its worst 2 parts were the voice acting, because that was bad. Like, get better voice actors, please, and like get better script writers, because that was not good. And the dungeons, because the dungeon in Breath of the Wild, it was cool being able to manipulate the dungeon that you're inside using the map, but it was, the dungeons were all too similar, and they were too short. Like, there was no, like, in a normal dungeon, there are tons of rooms, and, like, you just start in, you have no idea what to do, and over time, the theme of the dungeon seeps in, and, with the Breath of the Wild dungeons, it was basically just, okay, let's go activate a bunch of terminals and then fight the boss. Like, there was no mid-boss, there was no, like, enduring, like, there's nothing cool about them, that other dungeons, especially in Twilight Princess, definitely had. So that was the really only bad things about Breath of the Wild. But of course, the exploration, I loved how they spread out all of the rest of the dungeons into 120 little chunks, which of course be the shrines. Finding the Korok seeds was really difficult, but I've only found 250, so that's kind of pathetic. But I've done all the shrines and complete ending and all that good stuff. So yeah, I can't believe I'm still playing Breath of the Wild after getting it the day it released. I'm still playing Breath of the Wild, and I've been playing it, for how many months? Like, when did it release? March 10th or something? So, I've been playing it for many months. That's how great of a game it is. Just the exploration and the Hyrule Castle and the, story was fantastic. I can't say anymore, but anyway. So, thank you for sticking around to the video. What? No. Thank you for sticking around to the end of the video, because I can't speak. And, so the surprise that I talked about, it's not anything to be excited about. The surprise is that at number 1, we have 2 games. The 2 best games. Obviously, they're at number 1, so the best. And that's Majora's Mask and Ocarina of Time, because I, thought long and very, very hard about this. And, I could not find a reason for which Ocarina of Time would be better, or Majora's Mask would be better or worse, or one would be better or worse, so I could make one at the number 1 place and the other one at the number 2 place instead of having them tied at number 1. So basically, these games, Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, are literally some of the greatest video games ever made, in my opinion. You look at lists, top whatever video games ever made, Ocarina of Time will either be in a list of 100 best 100 video games ever made. Ocarina of Time will be in the top 10, but in a list of 10 best video games ever made, it'll be 1 or 2. I don't know why that is, but that's what I found. So basically, I feel like Majora's Mask is just as good as Ocarina of Time, or, why else would they be tied? But Majora's Mask is a little bit underrated because it doesn't get, the recognition that I think it deserves. Being tied right up there in the top 10 video games ever made, or even being tied for first place. But, Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask greatness has been talked about so much, I can't really say anything that you haven't heard before unless you were born yesterday. Which, I don't know, I don't judge, but, basically, Ocarina of Time was, if I had to, summarize it, it's just a feeling that you get, and it's very special. And the same thing happens with Majora's Mask. It's just that it's a different type of feeling, but it's still a great feeling that you get from playing it. And both of them were great lore-wise. Ocarina of Time is the whole reason we have 3 timeline plot lines. I don't know what kind of a name that is. They would just be timelines. So Ocarina of Time is the entire reason we have 3 timelines in the grand Zelda timeline, whatever it's called. And Majora's Mask is the reason everyone thinks that the Sheikah's evil, or that Majora is Zelda, or whatever. No one really knows. I do want to upload a video on that because I do have some thoughts on that soon, hopefully this summer. But yeah, I can't really say anything else about these 2 games. They're just incredible. So yeah, if you waited along, this entire video thinking that the surprise was going to be something else than having 2 games in one slot, then I'm sad that you're disappointed. But, I'll try to have better surprises in the future. So thank you very much for watching. Catch you next time. See ya.